Okay, my friends, so a lot of people, when they first start gardening or growing, they see people online or in Pinterest or even in the books and stuff, and they're starting seeds up indoors, all right? Now, they immediately want to think that you're supposed to start all seeds indoors, but that's not actually the case. There are some crops that can transplant really easily. Some crops, they don't mind having their roots disturbed. They can go outside and go right back to growing, no problem. Onions, for example, are perfect at that. So are cabbages. They're really easy. It doesn't matter if the roots get all disturbed and some of them break and you plant them outside, they'll just keep growing more, all right? So, but then some plants, if their roots are disturbed, it shocks them and they can never recover from that. And so they'll still grow probably, but they'll never be vibrant. They'll never be that strong, healthy, vibrant plant that we want to produce nutrient-dense food for us, okay? So here are the plants that you should never transplant unless you live like in zone 1 or 2 where you've just got a tiny little window of frost-free dates. Then maybe you could. But here in zone 5B, 6A, northern Indiana, we have 130, 140 days, a nice long season. So these crops, direct sow in the garden. That means you don't start them up inside in your pots. Save that for tomatoes, peppers, eggplants, and your flowers, all right? But direct sow these. Now, number 1 is, of course, your root crops. And I don't think many people are under the delusion that you're supposed to start carrots and beets up. But I just wanted to make sure. Carrots, you direct sow them in the garden. Beets of either kind, you direct sow them. You plant them directly in the ground, because if you disturb them, they most of the time, I've tried, and they don't even grow. So carrots and beets, any radishes, all of that stuff, you put it directly in the garden, okay? But now, these are the ones that I see people trying to start up indoors, and it sort of drives me crazy because they're like, oh, well, why do we got all these problems? Well, this is why. Okay, number 1 is beans. Beans made for drying, like the Good Mother Stallard beans, or even green beans. Any of the beans, you direct sow them outdoors once the soil is nice and warm, because they grow so fast, it's mind-blowing. But the reason we don't the reason we don't start them indoors is because these are one of the plants that set down, okay, it just breaks the surface of the soil and then it sets down roots, and it likes to see how deep it can go. It will just send out roots really far before it even makes any real growth up top. So it works on its foundation first. So if it sets down roots and it feels, oh, it's all constrained in a tiny little container, then it's going to signal to the plant that it doesn't have a lot of room to grow big and tall and strong. All right? So always direct sow your beans. They grow super fast. They sprout in like 5 days. All right? Next thing I see a lot of people trying to start indoors is squash. There is absolutely no need to start squash indoors. And again, it likes to pop its head above the surface with its 2 leaves and then set down tons of roots. Squash, and I've dug them up to check and all of this and see and really experimented with it. The plant will be this tall with 2 leaves, and yet its root system will be like 16, 18 inches long. All right, so it really likes to spread out. It's called the root set. It likes to set its root space first to see how big and strong it can grow. All right, another one is corn. You don't start corn indoors. Okay, you direct sow corn, just like the beans and squash. Your sweet corn, but also your drying corn to make into cornmeal. Because corn has a very deep tap root. It's got one central root that goes down nice and long to really, that's why it's one reason it's so drought tolerant, is because it has a very deep tap root. And indoors, it just doesn't work. Yeah, you will, if you sowed any of these indoors, you will get something, but they're not going to thrive, my friends. The next one is peas. I see this all the time, people trying to start peas indoors. Why are you starting peas indoors? They love the cool weather. So you can plant them out when there's still the threat of snow, all right? It doesn't really matter. They'll just not grow that fast. They can take temperatures down to 15 degrees, 20 degrees, no problem, all right? So again, these are ones that like to set out their roots first. So if you start them up indoors, and they grow so fast if you, in the right conditions, outdoors. So again, peas, sow them directly outdoors. Now, next thing, sunflowers. Everybody wants to be starting sunflowers and stuff. They're not like other flowers. Sunflowers have a massive root system and they do not like to be disturbed. Okay, again, you can start them indoors, but they do best outdoors. Now here's an honorable mention, okay? Cucumbers. They can be started indoors with success, but it's best to wait till that soil is nice and hot and just put them right in the ground. It will be days and they will sprout, all right? So these are the main crops that just wait till it's nice and warm and direct sow them. And they will fly past the ones people have been nursing along indoors and they're all sick and they're kind of all stunted and they go outside and they just never recover. Yeah, you'll get some kind of harvest, sure, because the plants are resilient and they will grow to some degree, but it won't be that strong, healthy, vibrant, nutrient-dense food that we want, okay? So let me know if you have any questions and get ready to direct sow all of this in the garden.